This is Monday, January 5th, 2026. Current time is 5:18 in the PM, Eastern Standard Time. I was going to go over the Dow and the major news catalyst over the weekend, which I was watching at 6 p.m. last night, expecting some reaction then. But the knee-jerk reaction whenever markets opened up was like nothing. So I was like, okay, then my thought process was that the markets didn't care about, any of the news about Venezuela or any of that stuff that's going on. But anyway, I'll go over in retrospect what my RSI showed up as being a air quote buy, and when it was a sell from yesterday into today. Let me turn my brightness up a little bit. What I mapped off last night, what I was expecting to potentially have some resistance was 48.09. Last night initially it went up towards the previous resistance level from that Wednesday prior to New Year's. It didn't quite tag that, but anyway, that created all these are air quote sell signal or buy signal. That created a sell signal down here at 20. This bottom created a buy signal. This one up here created a sell signal. This one down here created a buy signal. This one here created a sell signal. And that one didn't create nothing. But this one here did create a buy signal. And this one a sell signal. Buy signal. There was no sell signal in here, but that's previous resistance. If you had that pulled up, even just based off the previous resistance that it actually made on that Wednesday, where it rejected heavy from there, then you would have known that that's potential for resistance. Sell signal, then it got down to my 75% level on the Fibonacci retracement, and that created a buy signal. But that's your last buy signal, I think. Let me try to zoom it in. No, that's not it. At 7:30, give or take, right here created a buy signal. At 8:12 or whatever, that created a buy signal. And that was the last one that actually was made, was at 8:12 was a buy signal. The thing that sucks is so many people say, if it breaks the previous low, then it's a sell or whatever, or you just wait for it to go even lower. And that's, your profit taking level. But if you was, overly, excited cause there was no bad, count or bad reaction from Venezuela stuff, then you just might be expecting a bullish run. And that's also a January effect as well. The next time that I actually have a sell signal was at 9 a.m. in here. All this is a sell signal. But what happened, and it's hard to see because you got to zoom in really far, and how quick the freaking algorithms do it. As soon as it creates a sell signal up here at, from 9 o'clock to 9:30 pretty much, you have rules and stuff. But anyway, what happened is it dropped down to previous major resistance, and then it made that as support. Very quickly, algorithms know it, computers see it, and then they just hop on board and just, pump the hell out of it. What I was expecting was to have some resistance up here. It didn't ever happen. You had some sell volume at 936, but it wasn't enough to, remove that momentum from going up as much as it did today. So I had my alert go off basically at 9:30 on this and the Russell as well. I was expecting some resistance there. I was watching it briefly here, and I was kind of expecting what I was expecting is at least draw down to here. That never did happen. That's really common. It'll break above, make support just like it did here, which maybe why it didn't do that is because it already did it here. But that's what I was expecting anyway. And it never did crack down below the ATR trailing stop. That's another sign that says that it can keep on pumping up, and then of course it did flip and started to keep on pumping. When it got to 161.8% level, I was expecting some resistance there as well. It kind of started making some resistance, and then it pulled back just slightly, but not enough volume to pile on to it. So if you was waiting on that and expecting this to actually be the turn point, like me, for instance, then you was wrong there. So you might have been stopped out. A lot of traders got stopped out, and like there's less and less algorithms that buy into that. I just know that from prior experience, it's less and less likely that they will keep on buying into it. They did continue buying into it, and from all that, let me see here so I won't tell you wrong. But what I was trying to get at was the sell signal from the RSI. I mean, from like 9:30 till like here, like all that says it's a sell. At 10 o'clock, that said it's a sell. And then the next time it said it was at like close to 10:30 whenever it actually tagged the 161.8% level, and it said it's a sell there also. It never made a buy signal anywhere during the day, any other time of day, until much later on. Whenever it made that peak right there close to it, maybe slightly before that, at almost 2 o'clock, that's when it showed up as being a sell also on my setup. It'd be hard as hell to keep on taking stabs at it, because on a statistical basis you should have been, the algorithms should have led off of it. But I think that news catalyst did have, markets more energized today to the upward trend. That's the last time that there was a sell signal somewhere in here, almost 2 o'clock. Since it showed up as being a sell signal, then algorithms started stepping up. Whenever it gets choppy, I guess, at the ATR trailing stop, and it gets way more flatlined, then they can kind of take more of a stab at it, because you have less likelihood of going against you tremendously very quickly, so you can just kind of ride the little wave that's coming down. I did get a buy signal when it did tag the 161.8% level again, and right before that too, at this low level. Probably better if I actually zoomed out so you could see. Anyway, this created a buy signal, this created a buy signal. This one, this one created a buy signal, this one created a buy signal. Let's see here. Somewhere down here. Yes, after 15:45. It was in here anyway, created buy signal. That's how come you get like those little blips that come up. It's just on a statistical basis. But the major trend is still coming down towards the end of the day once you finally made that peak. But if I go to the 5-minute chart, I'm not sure some people like to trade off this, especially, I guess if it's going to be a big news catalyst day, it'd be better to trade off this than 1 minute time frame, because 1 minute definitely screwed me up. But if I go to the 1 minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame, then only if for me, I can go what I should have done is be on the 1 minute time frame on mobile, and that way I can see whenever potential rejections are at for the RSI, and then I can because it not for the 5-minute chart, it's all sell signals right here, and it created a buy signal down here for the. Anyway, what I'm getting at is if you're just trading off the 5-minute chart, then it's a whole lot more clean today. You would have thought like potential reversal here, but it didn't ever come to fruition. Potential reversal here. That's all buy volume in that candle, so that negates the doji. You never did leave the yellow and green candles. As soon as you start this first red candle here, is when you can think, take profit or short potentially, and that was a high day. And on the 5-minute chart, it shows up much better. And my rule is that if the non-moving average, if the full body breaks down or if the colors change, is when you can actually expect more of an opposite move. And you didn't get that until the high day on the 5-minute. So the 5-minute on the day where it's way more volatile and way more, it's past everything I have. It passed what I thought should be resistance last night. It passed what the top of the average daily range is. It passed what the freaking 161.8% level, which is super rare that it will do that. And it just looked incredibly powerful. It's still, there's always yin and yangs in markets, and algorithms and people start taking profit, and eventually it'll come down to the statistical mean wherever I had it mapped off at. The mean I had mapped off for the Dow anyway, it was 48,406. The total move that I had potential last night was significant too. From here to here is like 585 points. Today it was like 700 and something points for the day today. That was a pretty good move to the upside. My alert also went off for the Russell. I can bring this chart up to you. The top of the average daily range is here, 161.8% level here. You had one blip today on the 5-minute chart where you could think it could reject and go down, and then it finally made a high day. It was at 25.70, and then after that's whenever you had a decent red candle. It definitely got way more powerful to the downward side towards the end of the day. Very, very, very powerful for pullback. And typically, markets are going to even out and go to a natural median level eventually. The NASDAQ today was actually pretty damn sideways. It didn't follow anything else. It's its own entity, which I kind of like, I can give you a rundown on what all happened here. And last night to this morning, it came down to the bottom average daily range. The new one came out at 6 p.m. Made really good support there, and went for the 25% level from what I had mapped off, I guess. And it just feathered out after that. It just, on the 5-minute chart, it's actually holding up quite well. Right there is your statistical mean on that one, so it's where it's supposed to be. And crude oil actually had a powerful, decent day too, which I guess a lot of people could have figured that because it's sort of the easy play. And I think Exxon had a pretty decent day too. Yeah, initially, that's a hell of a spike. Yeah. A big old spike on Exxon. I think that was kind of expected though. And silver too. I left the levels from 2 prior ones, and it's basing it off of both statistical means I had from prior. Like this golden level here from like a week ago or so, that made resistance, and it came down and made support on the most current statistical mean that I had mapped off. So it's playing off 2 levels from prior. Anyway, silver is playing off of old levels and stuff. It's relatively easy to gauge silver right now, and it is extremely volatile also. And right here is what I have mapped off for tomorrow for S&P 500. What can create some resistance is 69.81, And what can create some support is 6904. Your bottom average daily range is also down here, so that'd be in the general vicinity that different algorithms kick on to start buying. Now, the Dow has pretty substantial potentials for tomorrow, 48,310 to 49,942. For the Dow Jones tomorrow, if it did the entire move from what I had mapped off here, then that'd be very, very, very substantial potential move. It's 1,628 points is what I have for tomorrow. So that's super duper like big. Bottom average daily range is also down here, so move down here would garner a whole lot of support potentially. I expect it to have around 49,126 for the remainder of the day. Top of the average daily range is also down here, so you're close to where you're supposed to be trading at in a technical way, but it can do whatever it wants to basically in here. It's not really all that big of a deal. And the NASDAQ tomorrow has good potential, 25,424 to 25,777. I'm not sure why like the NASDAQ wanted to trade like it did today. It traded more rational out, the Russell and the Dow and even the S&P did fine. But the Russell and Dow was very the heavy movers of the day. But the NASDAQ stayed pretty flat, or within reason, rather. That's all I got. We'll see if any of that hits tomorrow. Set me some alerts and see what happens. Hope you're happy, healthy, and well. Goodbye.